La la la, hey, hey, yeah, yeah.
Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my teen years. I admit it now. I was just such a stress. I gave you all the gray hairs you said that I gave you. But boy, oh boy, we're going to learn, okay, so that when Chloe is a teen and if I ever have a child and it becomes a teen, we're going to learn exactly what to do if it turns out to be someone like me. With Ruth Sirman, who is a mediator, trainer, and facilitator from Canmediate. It's good to see you again, Ruth.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, well, listen, you've got a great workshop coming up. This is actually the focus, dealing with teens and basically calming the conflict, if you will. And so we would love to tap into your ideas here on what we could tell the viewers at home. First of all, let's just start off with the general topic of why does this happen? Why is it so tough to parent during the teen years?
Well, I think parenting is tough at any time, but the challenges change as your kids get older. So there's just a hint for somebody who's thinking that maybe, things are pretty good with your 7-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever. Or you may be in absolute stress mode over a younger child. What I found, and I've got 4, so been there, done this, bought the shirt, burned the shirt. Not sure I want any more shirts, but in the grand scheme of things, it's one of those challenges that there are so many different factors that play into what goes on in families. But if you stop and think about it, and we were talking when I was here one other time about the fact that in every conversation there are 6 personalities that are present.
Yes.
Remember that part?
Yes.
Now put that in a parent-teen context. So, you're my parents. I'm your 18-year-old daughter, and I say to you, Mom and Dad, I want to borrow the car. Seems to be a fairly classic, especially older teens. I want to borrow the car because I'm going to a party. I'm going to a bush party.
Oh,
even better.
And I know you don't want me to drink and drive, so I'm just going to stay overnight and I'm not going to come home until tomorrow afternoon, okay?
no.
What do you mean no? Mom,
Well, that's
don't
it.
let him do
Final
this.
say, right there.
Go to your room. Because I said so, that's why.
If you think about it, as a parent, you're going to make that no decision based on what?
Based on the fact that, first of all, it's a bush party, right?
Been there?
I don't know. Yeah, been there.
Based on his childhood?
Yes, based on my own childhood experiences. Based on the fact you haven't even told me where you're staying. So for all I know, you're staying at Westboro Beach or something at a bush party. So there's some issues there for sure.
Can I ask something here? Because this is all of a sudden my childhood memories are flooding back at the moment. Now the thing is that I agree with Derek. That fear as a parent would be like no, because you're fearing all the problems that they're going to get into it.
Safety issues.
Right. So you say no
legal
on
issues.
that. But what I wish is maybe that they had said, okay, well, where are you going to be? What is going to happen? Because really, we had no intentions of getting in trouble. We were just having a great old time, and it was actually an innocent thing. So
Sometimes, yeah, for a lot, I'm sure.
yeah. So is it safer to go?
Well, it's an interesting piece because as parents, we kind of click into, we know what's going on, right? So we jump to conclusions without asking questions. We make assumptions based on our own past history, and most of us have one. And, as I said to my kids, because I have 4, and my youngest is now almost 22, so we've been here, moved on. But I can remember saying to my kids when they hit about 11 or 12, this is not a challenge or a dare, and I want you to understand that. But there is nothing in terms of teenage rebellion that your generation is going to invent.
Right.
And they just looked at me, and I said, you're not inventing sneaking out of the house. You're not inventing drinking underage. You're not inventing borrowing vehicles without permission. You're not inventing any of those things. You're not inventing lying about where you are, telling me you're going babysitting when you're really going somewhere else, or telling me that you're going, oops, on that one. Or that you're going to so-and-so's house when in reality you're going off to hang out at the park or whatever. I mean, you're not inventing any of those things.
Yeah.
In the same context that my generation did them. And we didn't start out as parents. I think a lot of kids kind of zone out on that. They kind of figure out that you started out old.
Yeah, they don't
right?
they don't realize you've gone through
You've been
everything that they're currently going
and
through.
so did their grandparents, and so did everybody else. And I can remember saying to my kids, go and talk to your grandmother about what she was like. And my kids came back with that deer in the headlights look like,
Yeah.
Grandma used to tip
But
over
Ruth, every
outhouses."
generation seems to say the same thing, like, kids these days.
Yes.
So is there a difference between
they're a lost
a
cause.
teen from 2010 than a teen from 1950?
I think there's a lot of different pressures on kids.
Okay.
And so when I look at what my kids went through, and we're now through the teen years, so there's another whole generation of teenagers coming up. What I saw my kids going through in grade 5 and grade 6 around having the right clothes, the peer pressure to be, say, have the right stuff.
Right.
Was stuff that I remember having in grade 10, 11, and 12.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
They were getting it in grade 5 and 6. Now, they're not ready any more than I wasn't ready in grade 10, 11, and 12 to deal with it, let alone having to deal with it in grade 5 and 6. So dances in grade 5.
Yeah.
What are we doing? There's
That
different
was usually like
pressures
junior
on kids.
high and high school and stuff. What about, further along to what Derek asked, that's so interesting, differences in kids. What about differences in parenting, though?
Yeah.
Because, I know for myself, for sure, when we were kids, it was their way or no way. There was
way
no
or the highway.
discussion. Well, there was no discussion. We were not buddies with our parent. Like, there's a very different parenting relationship. Is that a possibility?
It's another factor, and there are multiple factors. I think parents, we've got a set of societal expectations on parents that definitely put some limits on what you can do. I distinctly remember my parents never in any way, shape, or form abused me, but I do remember on occasions wearing a certain amount of
Padding?
heat.
Yeah, heat, sure. Oh,
on
yeah.
parts of my anatomy.
Sure.
When I had done something that transgressed whatever boundary it was that they had set. It didn't happen very often, but boy, when you hit that limit, you knew, and neither my mom nor my dad had any hesitation to deliver a quick smack on the butt.
Yeah.
It was never any more than that, but you knew. That's no longer acceptable today, and so what as parents we need is a way of saying to kids, you've crossed a boundary that is non-negotiable.
Right.
For whatever reason. And I think for a lot of parents, they haven't come up with a strategy that works for them, fits the societal expectations around the nonviolence piece. And I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of hitting kids, saying, don't hit
Right,
your
sure.
brother.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
that makes not a whole lot of sense. Grounding. Anybody ever get grounded?
Oh,
I was grounded for my whole, that's why I said in host chat, I was grounded for my whole high school career. Like every single week.
Who gets punished when you ground a child?
Well, the parent, because the kid's in the house.
Well, one, the parent's in the house, but two, as a parent, you can't go anywhere because you've got to stay there to make sure they stay there, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not necessarily the most effective way of managing the situation. Our house, we used to have chores. I figured if you were busy enough to get into trouble, there were 3 bathrooms that needed cleaning, and there was a basement. That was the ultimate one. The basement, the barn. There were multiple other places that you could apply that energy in a more constructive way. I don't remember ever grounding anybody because
Right.
I figured that was more punishment on me than it was on them. By the same token, I think one of the critical pieces is, and it comes back to what you were saying a minute ago about why didn't they just ask?
Right.
Ask what our plans were. Ask what we thought through.
Just
keep
not
the
jump
lines,
to conclusions, like you said.
keep the lines of communication open.
Ruth, speaking of communication, you are so good at it. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you back for another topic. You're just fun to talk to.
Thanks a lot, Ruth.
Obviously, the workshop is going to be fantastic, the
Yeah.
lecture. It's all happening on May 28th. Okay, you can find out more information at canmediate.com. The seminar is going to be just amazing. It's called I Just Want to Stop Fighting, Surviving Conflict Between Parents and Teens. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this with a wonderful performance by Gabrielle Goulet. Don't go away.